Good afternoon everybody and welcome to this week's webinar. I'm Ollie and today we're going to be covering the latest features in the latest release. If you've got any questions during or after the session, please do use our live chat service on YouTube where Mike will be on hand to help straight away. Okay, so in terms of what we're covering today, you can see on screen some of the key features that's been rolled out in the latest release. So in terms of kind of the latest updates to Prima customers, there's been quite a lot in the background that's been updated as well. So environmental changes, updates to financial systems such as the integrations between Prima and Sage 1, Xero and QuickBooks as well. So there's been a lot of work in updates and improvements from that point of view as well. So quite a lot of the stuff that's been going on kind of behind the scenes at Prima is kind of making sure everything's kind of reliable, working, all kind of the strongest kind of integration that it can be. Okay, we've also made some improvements to our email and document servers as well. So it's using a different environment now, improves reliability by times 100. So it's much better and a big improvement made by development as well. And also, as you can see on screen, there's quite a few things to kind of the FSM part of Prima. We've got new EDI Suppliers on board as well, so two to mention, EDI Suppliers and Everything Imaging. So they're just with the kind of the standard EDI at the moment with purchase orders, EDI and acknowledgements as well, sorry. Customer to customer EDI is available now as well, so linking Prima to Prima or Prima to some sort of FTP site or something, such as like an NHS customer or something like that. Catalog behaviour after the import's been improved as well. So again, some of the stuff that you wouldn't necessarily see, but kind of linking into different areas and making the system more efficient for those types of things have been updated as well, and many more, as you can see on the screen, that have been updated as well. So the first one that I'll start with is the new Marketplace link. So when you log into Prima now, straight away, you'll see a little icon in the bottom right of Prima for a link into what's called our Prima Marketplace. So we've got a Twitter account for Marketplace as well. We'll be posting updates from new suppliers on board who are using Prima Marketplace. So for those of you that don't know what Marketplace is effectively a kind of an area where you can go onto and find all the suppliers that Prima have data files for, with whether that be through Fusion or through Marketplace or through kind of EDI options as well. So what I'll do, I'll just flick onto the live screen and I'll show you that in action. So in the bottom right there, you'll see kind of the Marketplace icon. When you click into there, that'll then take you through to this Marketplace site. So from here, as you can see, you've got a section down the left hand side, how it works, buying on Marketplace, selling on Marketplace if you wanted to. So some Prima customers have kind of diversed into selling on Marketplace as well. So if we scroll down here, you can see the option for connecting with new suppliers and access new catalogs within minutes. So it's just making it easier for the Prima customer, go into Marketplace, and let's say, for example, as you can see now on screen, if you're looking potentially to go into workwear, office furniture, machines and tech, and so on, you can basically view from this list, right, okay, so in office supplies, let's have a look, we've got VAR, we've got Spices, Exertis. We've also recently added in kind of what countries it's available in as well. That's some feedback that we've had recently. So if you do have any feedback, it's not the finished article. We're more than happy to take on board your feedback. So as it stands, you can see the things like kind of an introduction to the supplier, if it's fusionized for your Prima Go web store and so on, Prima EDI available, and also where it's available from. So if you were to hit order catalog there, that then opens up an email to our data team where you can say, right, okay, please can you make this available? They'll then issue the catalog electronically, and that's available then in your Prima, in your notification area. Hit OK, and that can apply then into your system. So as I mentioned there, as you can see, office suppliers, there's these different suppliers available. Scrolling down, and you can navigate through to that link through marketplace.primasoftware.co.uk. Otherwise, you have got the quick link in your dashboard as well. So plenty of things on there. So if you're clicking into, let's say, inks and toners, you can then see likes at CTS, Trade Supply, Absolute Print. And what we're going to be doing as well is cross-referencing suppliers as well. So as an example, Exertis also do kind of various options in here as other suppliers do as well. But we'll be putting those into there as well. So that's the latest feedback we've had, and we'll be updating that as well shortly. Okay, scrolling down, just some information in terms of selling on Marketplace. So if you've got a supplier that you're using, you're manually doing the kind of data files and stock product management in the system, give them a shout, say, look, get a kind of Prima catalog available. It'll open doors to other suppliers as well, or customers even, and they can then kind of sell on Marketplace as well. Or if it's yourself and you sell a niche product such as, I don't know, till rolls or anything like that, you can get in touch and get yourselves on Marketplace to sell to Prima customers as well. And then scrolling down, just some FAQs, more for kind of the supplier side of things, and then just a kind of an inquiry form as well. So intended purpose is allowing Prima customers to have access to kind of all suppliers that we deal with from a kind of data point of view, and making it easy for you then to kind of link up with new suppliers and have that all kind of available to you as well. Okay, so going back to the key talking point image, so the next one after that is an introduction to kind of EDI suppliers in terms of a new kind of system key, if you want to call it, in terms of the pre-book option. So you can now disable or enable whether it's pre-book when it goes via EDI. So traditionally, when you send an EDI order through the link, it'll pre-book the order, which what that means basically to Prima customers is when it's pre-booked, when the order gets sent through, it's expected to be next day. So when you go to print off your dispatch notes, that's then available, and it won't say to follow on the notes. Whereas if you were to unmark its pre-book and try to build a dispatch note, then the items would be to follow. So rather than kind of expecting it next day, producing your notes and then finally realising, actually no, this is a furniture supplier and it's probably going to be coming in next week, there's a different way to do it. So to update that, again, I'll flick onto my live screen. If you go into the company record, so if you go into your company on your left hand side and into the supplier, we'll just use my kind of test account for reference, and where you would go is in the supplier section. So let's pretend this is a Vower Spices or an Exertis, and within here you'll have all your EDI information populated, but just at the bottom there you've got the option for automatic pre-book. So ticking or unticking that is basically deciding whether you want it to be expected next day or not, and push through kind of automatically to be available for dispatch. Okay, so that's that one. Any questions, again, while we're going through this, ask on the live chat or emailing training@primasoftware.co.uk if you're watching this back. Okay, next one, so FSM. So as you can see, there's three kind of introductions to FSM, which they're not kind of small changes, they're big changes from a Prima perspective, but nice kind of neat features that have taken us a little bit of time to do, but the end result is kind of massive for Prima customers. So the first one, being able to apply a price increase periodically. So what that basically means is you've got a support contract in your system where you're charging for renting out a machine, or some Prima customers rent out, say, software or some sort of IT services. You can basically say, right, okay, this is your price for this year, and then for the next 10 years your price is going to increase by 5% kind of year on year, and you can put that plan in place. So if I just flick onto the live screen again, and what I'll do in FSM support contracts, run a search for that support contract and go into it, into your current contract. So this one as an example, just renting out a machine, and you go into your header detail, and the new button is over here for price increases. So what you would do is click into there, and I've already populated this, but this would be blank, and what you can do if you wanted to is Prima can create the price plan for you. So by default it would insert all these 5% in there, kind of year on year, follow on for the next 10 years. You can adjust it, or you can manually kind of new line and add in, say for example if you're going to do a price increase every 2 years or every 3 years, you can adjust that, or likewise you can delete them out of here as well. So being able to kind of put a plan in place rather than the manual work of setting a reminder for next year, have a look at the prices, increase it, that sort of thing, the system can effectively update it for you. So if you've got an agreement in place with your customer, look, we'll do it kind of cheaper for this year, but for over the next kind of 10 years your price will go up by 2%, 5%, 10%, whatever it may be, then you can do that through this new kind of price increase as well. So it's really, really neat feature that's been added in on the last release as well. Okay, something else that was on that key talking points image is the option to send reading requests via email. So again, another feature that's really neat, and kind of it happens in the background that the Prima customer would never normally kind of realise once you've set it up. So kind of those of you that use support contracts and kind of don't use something like print audits, you kind of ring up your customer and say, what's your reading for this month on your kind of meter reading, and get that information in kind of manually. So what this basically would do is, as it says right there, send reading requests via email. So we'll look at who the contact is for that reading, and then 3 days before, or depending on what your system key is in the administration, would then send an automatic email to say, kind of fill in this information of what is your meter reading this month. So for those of you that don't use support contracts and meter readings, what I mean by that is in against your line, against your printer, you can put in your colour reading or your mono reading or whatever it may be. And if I go into there, in this kind of area here, you can charge for the prints. And the information it'll pull through is the contact person. That is the person that's going to be receiving that automated email with this information, and then basically requesting that information so you can update Prima. But we do have integrations with like Print Audit that information can be kind of automated and pulled through from the integration between that as well. So various different options, but that's again another neat feature that's been added in by the guys. Okay, coming back onto the next one is creating from a call log. You can actually now put on the parts and charges for that call log and then put it onto a dispatch note as well. So what I mean by that is if you're doing kind of call logs in Prima, you're normally doing some sort of thing such as, let's say, repairing a machine or going to check the printer's working because your customer said printer's stopped working, can you come and have a look? Those types of things. It could be absolutely anything, but just an example that is kind of active with Prima customers. So if you go into new record and CRS log, typically this would be like a call out to fix a machine, or some customers use this as like a customer service centre where they kind of log all the information that their customers are asking. Such as, I don't know, customer complaints or anything like that. You can use this as like a CRS system. So what I'll do is I'll just put a test on that one. And from the call log, you can put all your information, such as a call out to go and see Ollie Rolls FC about the printer 123, and put all your information in this call log. So for those of you that have not seen it before, it probably won't be kind of too much then straight away. But for those of you that do, in this parts and charges section, there is the option to then, I guess, send out a part to be chargeable. So if they do need a new toner because the print is low, then what you can do is create a new record, and you would typically send a toner or something, but I'll just use the punch pockets. And what you can do is then search for that item, and then from here what you can do is decide exactly where it's going to go. So is it going to be a standard delivery? So is it going to be onto your requirements list to be purchased? Is it then going to be put onto a dispatch note to be delivered? So it's just basically having that information so you can put that onto your dispatch note as well for your driver. So no, actually, rather than it just being a stationary order, they're also going to be dropping off this charge for this call log number of 151. So you can put that information into there as well. You can also put it onto what's called the own/van, which is the typical kind of historic way of which Prima treated it, which it doesn't even put it onto a dispatch note. So it's just kind of by your print off your call log, and that then would go onto its own kind of dispatch note. But kind of from feedback, customers want to have this on a dispatch note with other goods as well. So kind of typically you'd say, let's say there's quantity requested of 1, we're going to charge for it, we're going to do an invoice, and we're just going to put it on a standard delivery, which is going to go from our driver. You'd save that. If the stock is available, it'll allocate straight away and be available for dispatch. If not, into your requirements, and it's then ready to be purchased. So as you can see there, the status has changed to allocated, so that item is now ready to be put onto a dispatch note, delivered to your customer, and I guess that's the part of the process done. Okay, so going back to the key talking points image again, so there's a new one for intrastat code. So that's been added in for that, the code and the description, has been added to the stock product screen. So the built purpose is for reporting on exports, which is required by HMRC. So some Prima customers, this won't be kind of applicable to you at all, but others, this is kind of really a key kind of component of using Prima. You need to have this information to report into the likes of HMRC. So going onto the live screen, I've got it open there in front of you. You can see this is the stock product card, and this is the new section for the intrastat code and description as well, so you can populate that information with what you need to. Okay, new option for stock reordering, to be able to pick the cheapest supplier. So in the last release, I think it was, or the one before, we've done some changes so that you can kind of put in different levels of stock reordering. So rather than when it hits 5, we reorder to meet the maximum level of 40 by ordering 35, whereas you can have another option there to say, well, actually, when it hits 5, let's order 40 to then order the kind of the pallet amount or whatever it may be. So in the stock reordering, we've made another improvement, so you can now pick on the cheapest supplier rather than kind of your preferred supplier or a set supplier at that point as well. So in your stock products, so stock and products, find your products, and then in this tab of warehouse locations and levels, at the bottom here you've got your stock reordering. So we have got a webinar specifically on this if you want to have a look into that further. And then at the bottom you've got the reorder supplier, and it's preferred if you don't set anything, but now you've also got the option to select the cheaper supplier. So when you're doing your purchasing for your stock reordering, rather than kind of at that point you saying, well actually I'm always going to buy it from my preferred supplier of Vow, it's going to select your cheaper supplier at that point. Otherwise you can say actually when we buy pallets of paper we buy it from Antalis or we buy it from Spices, whatever it may be. You can populate that information, but the latest one is cheaper suppliers and been introduced into there as well from feedback, so that's another handy feature. Okay, customer EDI. So quite recently we've added in, well, customer EDI has been there in the system as kind of an option to use, but it's kind of relied heavily on development doing some work to get up and running, whereas now if you wanted to you could set this up kind of right now. I will run through it today, but if you are setting up customer EDI, I would highly advise contacting the team for us to kind of talk to you through it, get some information from you and advise you in the right direction to use it. Okay, so actually covering customer EDI then. So within your customer record, if I just open my test account here, and in your customer tab, so as you've got your EDI information in your supplier tab, you've also got it in your customer tab. So within here in the top right, you've got kind of an option here to be able to kind of output invoices is the kind of the typical one that Prima customers have started to use, but you've also got the option to output kind of orders, receiving acknowledgements, but there is a bit of work outside of Prima that you would need to do. So I guess if you're kind of looking at this on your own and you don't know where to start, it's definitely advised to get some sort of IT team or someone with experience to have a look into it. But effectively what you can do is, let's say for example we're not doing acknowledgements, we're not doing orders, but we're going to output invoices and credits to a certain directory. So what it would be a case of is putting in, say, like some sort of FTP site where you're outputting this information to, creating that in the admin, which I'll cover in a second, and then populating this information with a username and password like you get from your EDI suppliers for purchasing, put in your connection string, which would be your FTP site, and then this then would output that information to that FTP site, and then the folder or whatever you name in there for your invoice and credit. So Prima can basically output that information electronically to your customer. Okay, so in terms of the admin, if I just open the administration there, in general, and at the very bottom you've got an option for Prima OPXML. You've got the option here to create a new one, but I'll just go into this existing one, and from there then you can put in all your information once you've done all your FTP site kind of information. So you can do kind of how it would send in the format of XML file is the kind of the typical way of doing it, where you can output to, from, URLs. There's loads of stuff to cover, but that's why I kind of really advise to look at it a case by case basis rather than just doing this on your own. So that's something we can cover with you. So coming back into here, once you've set that up, your connection type would then be in this section. So as you've got in your supplier tab your list of different EDI suppliers, go back into supplier there, saving a change then. So from your drop down you've got all the likes of your Vow EDI, your Xertus EDI, your Spices and so on. That would just be another option for you to select from in your list. So you can see there the Prima OPXML and do that. Okay. And the final point is bulk purchasing. So today we're not going to cover this kind of in full. We are going to do a dedicated webinar specifically on bulk purchasing. But in essence what it is from your requirement screen. So when you're doing a bulk purchase, it would be the case, let's have a look at one of these lines in here. So I think there's one that's set to an each, when actually you can buy this in a pack of 12 for example. What you could do effectively from here is, rather than buying the each, going through the order and then just allocating it one by one to the orders, you could bulk purchase a pack of 12 and then allocate that to different orders as well. So a system key that's been added into the administration is, when the stock's available, it can automatically allocate 2 requirements when the stock has been booked in as well. So when you're doing your bulk purchase, it could be the case that you order a pack of 12 because you know tomorrow you're going to have some more of these kind of cases coming through. So when you order that in bulk, that can then allocate to the orders that are coming in through the system. So when you place another 3 orders for the same quantity, those 3 orders would then be able to allocate from that bulk purchase kind of section, if you like. So as you can see on screen there, you've got this option for bulk purchase, and that will be covered in kind of a dedicated webinar on exactly how that would work. And it's kind of in its final stages of being finalised and improved on as well. Okay. So that is everything for today's session. If you do have any questions on any of the upcoming features, the existing features, anything like that, please don't hesitate to ask away. Myself and Mike will be on live chat for the next few moments or so. Otherwise, if you are watching it back, training@primasoftware.co.uk, send us an email with any questions you've got as well. Okay, well, thanks for your time. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.